did not really work out. So want to be seeing something a little bit different from him coming into this Champion Select. Let's take a look at those bans now coming through. So Lissandra will be the first one from the Unicorns. Shen out from Giants, of course. Again, aims at Chachi. And Nidalee will be coming out from Maxlore.
Yeah, super standard bans at this point in the series. Both Nidalee and Shen are not really a surprise.
No, the Lissandra ban also still coming out from the Unicorns. This was something that has been rising in popularity recently. She's a relatively safe mid laner, and she works very well at roaming around the map. Something that we haven't actually seen very much of is things like the Talia and Twisted Fate. We did wonder whether or not these global mid laners would rise in popularity, but we yet to see them in this series.
Yeah, and if you look at the bans from last game, obviously that Cassiopeia wasn't banned out by Unicorns because they ended up playing it. They actually had a Nidalee in that slot.
They've banned it and picked it because
that's how good it is, you know? Cassiopeia Rift walks out of the ban cage straight into the Rift box. It's like, no choice. You're picking me right now.
Not going to happen. Tarek, final ban from the Unicorns of Love. Taking that away from Hustlin as well. I mean, of course, it's a shared pick from Hylissang, but now waiting on the final one from Giants. And what's it going to be? I'm going to keep talking until it's locked in. Cassiopeia will be the final one, so they managed to catch him.
Rek'Sai, yeah.
And there's a Rek'Sai first pick.
I mean, it had to be. We talked about making sure that Move had a comfortable jungler. He had a great performance on the Rek'Sai game 1. Now, there's no reason not to pick it first in game 3.
And now, what does Maxlore do from here? Gragas is still on the table.
So something that we did see banned earlier on and regularly throughout the series was the Gangplank. Now it is available. It is a bit of a risky pick because champions like Gnar actually do very well into it. We saw over in LCK how easy it is to get bullied out of lane by the Gnar, but still he offers fantastic global pressure. It's a really good mid-game spike, and if Giants are very much about playing these team fights and playing for that mid-game spike, then it could be the perfect pick for them.
I like this draft though. It doesn't give much away and it steals one pick here. So they take the Tahm Kench for themselves on Hustlin, so they guarantee themselves a strong melee support that actually doesn't have any like hard lane counters. Like you will never like stomp a Tahm Kench lane in my opinion. And then they just match jungler for jungler. They say, you know what, we're gonna wait for all the other things. We're gonna look at what your composition, is it safe to draft an Ashe and a Jhin, or do we need a Sivir perhaps?
And Unicorns of Love so far have managed to secure that Ashe multiple times so far. See if they do that once again. Now they have to start revealing some of their laners so Giants can react to it, since Unicorns now on this blue side. And thinking hard about it, 20 seconds on the clock before they lock in their picks. What are we expecting in terms of lane assignment?
Well, I'm wondering whether or not Unicorns actually go for the Sivir or the Ashe, because Ashe has been typically a comfort pick. Game 2 didn't work out as nicely, but they could look to try and take the Sivir as it is risky to blind pick it, but you could look to pick that one up as maybe as a denial away from SONSTAR.
No, I don't think Sivir is a denial status right yet though. She's incredibly hard to lane with in a lot of situations. She loses lane pretty hard. Ashe and Jins are far superior on the tier list here, so I think Unicorns are just going to wait and see how it plays out. And Hylissang knows, probably doesn't want to play Alistar this game, and then Bard is up there in the tier list of supports.
He's 5-1 with that pick, did very, very well, only handed one loss so far.
Wouldn't be surprised if we actually saw a Cassio pick right now. It's regularly banned against Knight because of how proficient he was in it over in the in the Korean Challenger scene. And he currently, throughout the split, is 3-0, 100% win rate on the champion, something that he is very well known for, and that's how I got super hyped for him in the past.
Well, you didn't need much, did you?
No, I did not.
Just day in the office is like, hello, your name? Andy. Oh my god, I'm so hyped for Knight.
It's because my last name is Gay. Like, you know, mid laner opposite of me, it all makes sense.
You've been saving that one, haven't you? Next time it comes up. Well, you may get your wish here, Veritas.
This was one of those jokes you should have made before playoffs.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good matchup with the Vladimir. The Cassiopeia pick to go back on track here. Surprised that SONSTAR actually opts for the Sivir. I guess they just want to stay safe. But he's just too scared, I guess, from the backline dead of a Bard. Yeah, I guess a Tempered Fate, Rek'Sai pop-up, and a Vladimir diving in the backline. And the fact that Vizicsacsi has a propensity towards playing some of these assassin-esque champions in the top lane. It may be wiser to at least carry a spell shield.
And waiting on these two final picks from the Unicorns of Love. And thinking about the Gangplank that you guys mentioned earlier that has been banned previously in this series. Could be going over to the Unicorns and also the ADC. I would be surprised to see Corki. When we're seeing a lot of Ashe come out recently, Sivir, Jhin are definitely the top picks in the ADC position. Just need to see what they pick alongside this Bard now.
Remember that Corki did have a couple buffs, not massive ones, they weren't like game-changing buffs, but just slight quality of life that perhaps could increase the popularity, and it looks like that it will actually be a lock there.
Yeah, this hover was like getting to the awkward length of time where like maybe they're actually serious about this pick. They are pretty heavy with Gnar and Rek'Sai on, I guess, 80 damage. I'm trying to like justify it here, you know?
Yeah, we'll just watch the game and we'll find out. But the Gnar also locks in there for Chachi, so opting away from the Gangplank. Got the Vlad in the mid lane as well. Now we just need to see where Giants assign their final pick. They have the Tahm Kench, so could flex, but more likely to be in that bottom lane.
It's not a matchup that I've seen recently or for a while, but the Corki Bard, I would imagine, must be quite the powerful lane, especially into something like
It does a lot of damage.
I mean, it has decent wave control, but I don't think you're going to challenge the Sivir too much pre-6. Level 6 you can rocket spam, but at that point Sivir can neutralize the wave. It all depends if you connect your spells. I think Sivir's Tahm Kench should always be able to farm. I think it's more about like, you'll have the lane control at least. I think you'll have the decision whether you want to push or pull a wave, but not to the extent where this is like a hard counter matchup at all. I mean, Phosphorus Bomb is like the most telegraphed.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's like the slow creeping AoE. Oh, spell shield, never mind. 3 mana.
Very similar to like Morgana binding. You see it from a mile off.
Actually, the way to win that matchup as Corki is you never use Q. Like, because you want to basically use Q on the creeps so that Sivir spends all her mana on farming, being pushed in, and then she's out of mana and she's kind of begging you, please hit me with a spell, like, let me use my spell shield. And then when she's you actually just force her at a CS disadvantage and you push a tower. But that's incredibly boring to play.
Well, we'll see if they can spice it up in the bottom lane. But to round it out, SmittyJ did pick up the Irelia into Chachi in the top lane. So positive matchup up there.
Yeah, typically can go in favor of the Irelia if she abuses the mini Gnar form. But again, early levels, the range advantage in favor of the Gnar will enable him to just bully SmittyJ around. And with the nerfs, again, to the Transcendent Blades, it could hurt her once she hits the level 6 mark, but still typically goes in favor of the Irelia.
Yeah, it's all about the jungle interaction there. Both Rek'Sai and Elise are so good at ganking these lanes here, and Gnar and Irelia are both champions that are strong at setting up. You know, a minor slow from Gnar often is enough to get your CC jungler in range, and then a dash plus stun from Irelia can be enough to facilitate for Cocoon.
Well, finally, we do have these full compositions here once again. We're heading into game 3 already. Feels like it's been a pretty fast day coming into this one, but there you can go hashtag UOL win or hashtag GIA win to show your support on Twitter and see where your heart lies in this one. We'll be getting into game very shortly. Here we go, guys. Game 3 of this best of 5. First playoff quarterfinal coming out. You can see the bit of dancing coming out from you guys. No safety dance, unfortunately, here, Veritas. We're having some fun with that.
Ah, the safety dance. Something that you should always be aware of, but definitely recommend that you look it up because your life will just feel happier,
safer,
more
safer. I had no idea what that was.
Surprisingly, no. No, it would not. But you definitely feel happier as a result.
It will enhance your life for sure.
Yep. Now, the Unicorns, they've done some interesting level 1 stuff throughout the series. And it looks like they're going to go for something, once again, a little bit unique with Exileh down the bottom lane.
So you can see that this level 1 is like an evolution of scrimming on Dispatch for a couple of weeks, where it all starts with bot laners getting access back to their camps, then realizing that you can punish people once they walk back from their camps. And TLDR is that there's a lot of like contesting around brush access early in the game, which means like pre-1 minute, because whoever's in that brush can see if at least it's warded, and then you could potentially camp it. They're walking back to lane, guess what? You do Bard Q, Corki Q onto Sivir and Tahm Kench double stun, suddenly the lane is over. So to guarantee that maybe Giants would contest that brush, Unicorns left send like 3 people randomly there, maybe burn a flash. It's like, you can tell that this doesn't magically happen, like randomly sending your mid laner into a brush here. But very often you see matchups like double ranged, hide in the second brush and then punish once the enemies walk back into the lane if they do camp. Giants, however, they're really clearly playing around topside. They didn't get any wards inserted into their jungle, and they actually got a hard leash for Maxlore. Unicorns can see this though. If Sivir goes to the Gromp and returns back later, they know that she leashed, especially if she uses mana, but she's not using any mana. By power of deduction, they can actually figure out that this Elise is going top later on for topside control.
Interesting. Exileh takes away one small Raptor here. Was that just for the extra bit of experience to try and edge ahead in terms of levels against Knight?
I think he levels up on first wave then, Fetty.
I think
Instead of 7-3.
Because I don't think the small ones give you enough experience, because I know that the amount of jungle experience that you get from a camp, I honestly don't think it's going to be enough to actually shift it a huge amount, but It depends on how many he actually took. I bet if he only took one, I don't think...
I'm really curious.
He took one. He took one. He leveled up. I'm like 90% sure at this point, but it's too late. Because
they're both level 2 now.
But I looked over when there were 3 melees up, which means he hadn't killed any one of his...
Veritas, go back and check.
I will.
Okay, we'll find that out, because that is actually really important. Taking away that one creep, that one raptor, good adaptation. Didn't get the level 2 punish, though.
Yes and no. He gets level 2, but he loses lane control for it. Vladimir's trading pattern usually means you do a couple of Qs on creeps early, you get the push, and then you Q aggressively whenever you have like the amplified Q proc.
Yeah.
But if you're late to lane, Cassio gets the push anyways. It's more of like you neutralize the potential advantage that Cassio gets from pushing. It's really minor, but it's actually easy to play.
Saw that drop down there. The last time we saw Corki was in the very first game of the split. So you can see Unicorns of Love, of course, went back through the history books, and it's just like, we'll see what worked in the past and see if it works now. As Exileh taking a lot of damage in the mid lane, has to flash away.
Did he though? Because Knight was out of mana.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't. It's a rough one because the mana cost of the E is actually quite low early on. It only does cost 40, so I'm not entirely sure if he did actually have enough for that final E. So to play on the safe side, Exileh did just go for the flash, and if Knight had actually just gone for the flash auto-ignite, that also might have been enough to get the kill. So I think it was the safe play to make from Exileh, but either way, he's not going to lose his life.
I really like not flashing after panic flashes, because you get control of the lane, you have a flash yourself, and you still will get a better base because this guy's low here. Now we finally see kind of contention here. Maxlore is in the enemy jungle already, so... And he got the Scuttle Crab. Really playing around the top side, really trying to neutralize move, so SmittyJ gets access to a 1v1, you know, no jungler. Final destination, no items.
Irelia versus Gnar. So, working out so far in this game. Unicorns of Love, we're trying to find a collapse from Exileh, but we're a little bit slow there. So it didn't make it happen. Now Exileh has to face up against Knight without his flash, with a wave pushing as well. Knight will try and keep it here as long as possible, potentially open up a gank for Maxlore. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, got Veritas and Hylissang, both running Thunderlords as well, so a lot of damage coming out. They land their combos.
Yeah, Hilly, we saw him take like the Chime Express through the mid lane. It's because they have lane priority. They can always push up the Sivir Tahm Kench lane, but they can never punish hard enough. If you, God forbid, get a stun on Bard, or from Bard onto the Sivir, he will just get devoured. And trying means you proc your spell shield all the time, which means he's full mana, and he gets access to free wave clear. So all these effects kind of just neutralize each other. Corki, Bard decide where the wave is, both champions farm it equally.
So you can't like overload him. You know how people get stronger, you know, when they're given energy. You can't like throw so much at him, like he eventually just dies.
Yeah, you need to land like 3 Qs in a row and a Phosphorus Bomb, and then have the damage not get denied by Devour. So it's incredibly hard.
All right.
So TLDR,
just pushing it up.
Don't.
Doesn't work. That's not how the boss fight works, unfortunately, in this bot lane.
That was the worst realization I've ever had into this Sivir matchup. Is like, so the way to win for me is to slowly watch your mana bar creep down. So like this is gonna happen every time.
Exactly, yeah.
Like you're not supposed to do this. You literally have to wait for 7 minutes. After 7 minutes, she goes out of mana, then randomly bases, and it was all for naught.
That would be a really poorly defined boss fight, you know? It was like, that was the mechanic. You just got to wait for like 7 minutes. Like, all right, guys, now we can play. And we've got this top lane where SmittyJ did manage to get that one-on-one now. And he's a bit ahead in farm, but Chachi's got that wave coming in here as well.
Yeah, so he's not basing, but he's looking for the level 6 spike combined with his jungle showing up. He's actually trying to bait Vizicsacsi, saying, hey man, I overstayed my welcome here. Cocoon comes out.
Oh, and it lands on Chachi as well through the minions. He tries to hop, but the first blood from Maxlore.
Fantastic setup from the Giants, exactly as you called it, Crapo. The setup was there because SmittyJ, he was just baiting it out. He was asking Chachi to just, you know, overstep just a little bit. Maxlore comes in, doesn't even have to use his flash, gets the max range cocoon, and in the mini-nar, they had more than enough damage to secure themselves first blood.
Yeah, because sometimes in top lane matchups, it happens so that if you base very late for your items, hopefully this duel doesn't go to the death. No, it doesn't. If you base really late for your items, guy teleports back on level 5, but you are now like half a wave of experience ahead, which means you're about to hit level 6. So you can see if you can maybe all in him 6 versus 5 with an item disadvantage. Vizicsacsi said, you know what, I can take you with your ultimate. Can't take you in the jungle though. That was a really good timing from Maxlore. Now fight in the mid lane.
Knight in this one-on-one, getting onto Exileh, he'll go down into the Sanguine Pool, but Movement's here! Oh, he gets underneath the Petrifying Gaze, but Move doesn't have the damage or the range to get on top of Knight. Now Maxlore with the response, Volatile Spiraling lands, and after all of that, no one actually has. Oh, Move stays! We'll get through the tunnel, Maxlore not in range to finish him off.
So many small
the Raptors
move. The Raptors able to get away. Doesn't fall prey to his own jungle, but there were just there were so many little things. For example, like Knight overthrowing his miasma, thinking that Exileh would run through the bush. That means that Exileh doesn't get the stacks of poison. That also means that Knight doesn't get the amplified damage on his twin fan. But because Knight also had the igniter, Exileh overcommitted a little bit too much, thinking that he could win out on the trade, and didn't respect the fact that his sustain was heavily mitigated by that igniter.
Yeah, and all that, if it wasn't for 2 really solid jukes by the Unicorns, that would have been an 0 for 2 for them, and Giants would have led by 3 kills in this matchup here. So individual outplays were required to save the Unicorns and keep them relatively even in the game, but they are still 900 gold behind.
Exileh, I need help. Triple Ruby Crystal being picked up in the mid lane here with the null magic mantle.
The Kaiser Chief build.
Gonna let one sit. Unicorn.
Don't get the reference.
Don't get the reference? They have a song called Ruby, Ruby, Ruby.
Ah, now I get the reference. Good job. My pop culture knowledge is that of a spoon.
Whenever I make a reference and Veritas gets it, I decide not to use it on air because it is too commonly known.
Using the Veritas filter. Giants now in the bottom lane. They're farming. They're pushing minions.
Yeah.
But they have the slight advantage.
From SONSTAR or Veritas.
Yeah, I think he's looking for 70 CS, which is like... does he go IE? No, he goes Essence, right?
Because if it's Essence into Phantom.
Yeah, because if it's an IE laner, they usually wait for BF plus pickaxe, but maybe he goes for BF plus something else, but he's just going for boost components. I guess he was just fine equal farming until Corki based.
Oh, top lane. Chachi lands the ultimate move coming in as well for the chain CC. SmittyJ dropping low for the flash after. Queen's Wrath will find the kill. Maxlore trying to turn it around. It's 1-on-2. Rebel comes up trying to find the execute, but he's knocked up and he will go down. Dual kill for Moo.
A really good response from the Unicorns of Love, and the action might not have yet.
It looks like he gets caught out. Miasma's there as well. Tempered Fate on top of Knight. Win this 1-on-2. Exile's there, but he misses the Q, and Knight will turn it around. Does he have the damage? Twin Fang will find him after the flash. Now in the 1-on-1. Exile following after, tied to blood. Knight, he goes into the Sanguine Pool, coming back up. Misses the Q. Knight, he's kiting around. Miasma as well. Exile finally finishes him off the transfusion.
That entire play was based on the Crimson Rush from Exile. Knight just had to land that Q, and he would have been able to get the 2 versus 1, but unfortunately he missed it. Really good side steps and more action.
Special delivery. Hustlin being knocked to the side move. He's getting slowed down, but those stacks are adding up from Hustlin. BJ coming in as well. Veritas trying to lend some support, but gobbled up, getting Kirby'd. Move comes in. He's dead. Hustlin still survives.
Still survives. He gets 3 stacks, then goes for the tongue lash into the Devour combo. So many things happen, but then this initial fight, this is actually the later stages of this fight. Vizicsacsi dropped here, because this is what Giants were doing with that initial fight where they went with Elise top. They were setting up the same rotation that Unicorns did in the first game, if you guys remember. Bottom lane bases, then goes into the lane swap fight in the top lane. The problem was, Irelia Elise lost the 2v2. They thought they were winning, and they didn't wait long enough for Elise to show up. But luckily, Hustlin and SONSTAR, they kind of clean up on the back here, and SmittyJ comes back in with a teleport. But this was Giants definitely going over eager. They did not need to force the play that hard against the Gnar Rek'Sai combo because Move and Vizicsacsi picked up 2 kills there. And then on the Hylissang play, I'm just saying this is not being used to the stage because that was a Q that was timed on Berlin ping 40 to 60. If you do it at the seemingly at the same time, Q comes out like fraction of a second later. It's the frame perfect stun. Problem was he was a little bit too early, and he did what every Bard player dreads, which is missing your Q after Tempered Fate.
Surprising as well, because we've seen a lot of Bard from Hylissang. He's picked it 6 times in the split, 5-1, has typically done really well. Been very impressed by his play, but something I wouldn't expect. It was, I think it was Hylissang last time we saw play Bard and just missed over and over and over again.
It's just because ping actually influenced that a lot. If you get unlucky with Berlin ping, you have 60 ping on offline servers. You always play with 9. I'm not saying that's the mistake. Maybe you just choked, you know. Yeah. But it's definitely something you have to get used to for timing-sensitive queues. The counter argument here, though, is why bother? Because the dude already flashed, so you can be a little late on your queue.
Wait it out. Top lane, Smitty jumps on Vizicsacsi, gets a slowdown and a lot of damage. Because the flash and the cocoon doesn't quite connect. It was just out of range.
There's a bit of tilt going on this game on Maxlore.
Well, I don't know if it was tilt, because to be fair to the guy, it was still on the money. If he was just ever so slightly more in range, he would have been able to land it.
GIA Veritas.
Yeah. But now Move, he's trying to respond.
He's looking for the knockup. Chachi's very low, but he's near Megaphon. He wants to get in range for the ult, but, well, Smitty literally backing away. He's very scary as well.
That's how all my skill sets go, you know? If only they were just...
I was just out of range. I didn't miss. He was just out of range.
Yeah.
It was a zoning cocoon, lads. It was a zoning cocoon. Now, SONSTAR and Hustlin are in the bottom half of the map. They could look to try and set something up with Veritas.
Yeah, you say a key word there, and because Hustlin needs to stay close. Because Corki, if he's building Triforce or God forbid he gets a spike early, he will win every 1v1 duel with enemy AD carries, even through Spell Shield here. So if he gets the Valkyrie off Sivir, he will win that duel.
And now in this game, just checking in on how everything's going. Basically very even in terms of gold and kills. This mid lane has been very interesting for me, kind of swinging Knight's way when it's come to 1v1s, but then junglers are getting involved, and that's what you were talking about before, Veritas, where Move and Maxwell are going to really prioritize.
So the mid lane matchup's quite interesting because Knight naturally has kill pressure in the lane because of his Ignite, but on top of that, Cassio is a sustained DPS mid lane mage, where while Vlad is typically a sustained DPS mage, you cannot match the sort of DPS that Cassio can output, especially if he has the poison stacks on you as well, which is why she's typically picked into the Vladimir. The usual weak point of her is during very early, Vlad can get an early shove, but in this setup, Knight was actually the one that got the early advantage, even with the extra camp, and even though Exileh tried to rush to level 2 to get that early shove, he wasn't able to set it up properly because of how Knight positioned himself during the lane.
Yeah, the other weakness is that she doesn't have sustain.
That's
well,
true.
She does have sustain DPS, she does have sustain, and Vladimir has sustain DPS and sustain, which is cheating.
Best or winner.
winner with chicken dinner. But yeah, you can see what happens right now.
You can see he's even built Merc Trade. I mean, that's how much he's afraid of the Cassiopeia right now.
I mean, not only the Cassio though, Irelia and Elise come into effect there, especially SmittyJ, who's maxing E2nd. Equilibrium Strike was left on 1 point only by Vizicsacsi. That's the way he likes to play his hyper-mobile Irelia. However, SmittyJ is of the old school approach, which is one-shot. Obviously, if you botch the creep, gotta use E on the wave there. Mistimed his Q timing, or his Sheen timing. Yeah. But that's a one-shot Irelia build. It's dash in, you don't use your Q for anything else. Just give him a Sheen proc, WQ dash in, stun them with E hopefully, and then hope for a one-shot.
Yeah, of course the Q applies. And yeah, Chachi will get the top lane to himself for a little bit. Teleport is available for Smitty, but probably doesn't want to burn it on top lane, especially now that SONSTAR's rotated up there. And after all of that, Chachi's actually built up a bit of a sizable farm advantage in the top lane. So
yeah, in any Gnar matchup, it's really crucial to get Frozen Mallet early because it allows you to keep these melee matchups at bay. However, if they have innate gap closers, SmittyJ can still get close.
So now we've actually seen the swap come out from Giants. Both SONSTAR and Hustlin are in the top half of the map, but already Veritas had gotten the shove onto the bottom half of the map. He'd already responded, and they will now be hitting onto the turret first. So even though Giants were the ones to set up this play, it is likely that Unicorn to be able to get as a 1v1 in the mid.
Knight connecting the Petrifying Gates will flash after Twin Fang as well, but a bit of healing back. Using Crimson Rush there from Exileh will keep him alive.
Bit of a misplay from Knight because he didn't quite time his poison stacks with his flash, which means that his E didn't have enough damage to secure himself the kill. He will force both summoner spells out of Exileh, but he had to do it with his own in return. So fun interaction in the mid, but unfortunately no kills gained either side. But more in terms of the whole map play, you can see that Giants forcing this play on the other side of the map really hasn't done them any favors. Yeah,
but they have the Tahm Kench rotation here. Once these towers open up and people overextend, Maxlore could come in, and that's a dead Vizicsacsi.
Oh, maybe. Hustlin jumps over the wall. Yeah, he's dead.
So maybe we need to hype him this. No, he's gone.
Oops.
But yeah, that's the power of Tahm Kench support, and that's what you see very often, even in LCK. He really wants to sit with carries in the mid lane, because you can leave your AD carry to wave clear, and then you step any step to the left or to the right, and suddenly you find yourself in a different lane. It's like a TF ulti on steroids. You get 2 TF ultis. You get to bring somebody with you.
That makes steroids work. Interesting. Jan should be able to take this top.
You get 2 muscles instead of 1.
Yeah, you know. News to me. Should be able to take this up. Should be fine. So Giants securing their first tower of the game, evening up with the Unicorns of Love, but they're taking one in the bottom lane as well. And there's nothing that Smitty can do about it, really.
Because while the play was happening from Giants in the top half, Unicorns actually went for the first dragon of the game. And because Move was already on the bottom half of the map, Hylissang was setting up deep vision. They could just instantly rotate around because of the push that Veritas had already set up for himself. They won't be able to take the turret, but the amount of damage that they got onto that tier 2 is really good for the side of Unicorns.
Yeah, this is Vizicsacsi, like, you're a top laner, you're just pushing the wave, it's fine, you see a Sivir, you know what, I'm out, and then suddenly there's a whirlpool in your lane. You get, guess what, free jacuzzi, nope, Tahm Kench.
He could have flashed a little bit sooner there, I feel.
Definitely could have.
No reason to hold it, especially with the Elise just walking up to you. But there we are. Hopefully lessons learned from that point on.
That's how the cookie crumbled. has to deal with it. Has to live with that decision.
Doesn't actually, because he's running corruption potion. Oh, actually, no, he's running potions. But doesn't have cookie, no biscuit.
Yeah, not in this game.
Oh, Knight caught out.
Oh,
Low mobility mage. Ooh,
There's the
stun.
Q landing, but unfortunately there's no team to capitalize on it.
Yeah, but that's just for confidence. Sometimes, hang on, Tahm Kench comes in on Exile.
Confident. Tahm Kench up. Landing. Well, both those skill shot missed.
But, I want a double stun from Bard. This is Hylissang. He's warming up. You know,
There is so much zoning going on in this game. It's something like throughout the
Unreal.
series. Just
No. Sometimes you say, team, I know we have no follow-up, but I just got to prove to myself that I can land this ultimate.
I got this. I got this.
That's when you usually flash out too afterwards.
Yeah. It's a demonstration of skill as well, because if the team, like, you know, need to follow up on your plays.
Knight right now is going to start respecting Tempered Fate, you know?
Yeah.
It's all about just asking them politely to stand up so they can sit down.
Usually a word added to that one as well. Move coming out here, but he's gonna gobble up his ADC. Hustlin taking a long down, doesn't get the chance to Grey Health. And he'll just simply die. Unicorn of Love now pushing on this inhibitor tower.
Mayday for Giants. Their base is under siege, but nobody is close. There's no teleport on SmittyJ. He's just now basing. And Unicorns of Love, again, with this condensed mid-game. You know, they used to love playing 4-1, grouping up for picks with a Temper Fate without it on cooldown too, and they find another pick for themselves.
Really good setup from the Unicorns, just heavily punishing the mispositioning of Giants, where they're still typically sitting in these standard lanes trying to catch the Unicorns out of position, and it's just not working out for them. Knight is continuing to put pressure down in the mid, but just look at that tower. It is still relatively healthy considering the number of times that Knight has been so aggressive on the Rek'Sai.
You saw the most damage of 15 from Knight coming out there on Cassiopeia. I mean, very easy when Exile's role in this game has been the mid lane punching bag, and just like taking everything to the face. And he's able to regen, so he'll come back into lane now. And this will be the Herald now going over to Giants, so giving that, of course, to the split pusher.
Yeah, I think that's really important, especially if you can get it this late in the game. It's almost the perfect Herald. Oh, actually like that a lot. That was really good communication there. Just the presence of mind. So you know what? Walk through the wall.
Oh, you.
Yeah,
Walls mean nothing to the mouth of Hustlin.
It's like speedrunning. You know, in most speedrunning games, walls are merely a suggestion.
Exactly.
It's like there's actually this wall right here in this door, which requires a key, is a cosmetic suggestion. Move going in though.
Doesn't exist, but the gank in top lane certainly does. Smitty, he's very, very dead. Chachi will finish him off with the Rock of Hyper, and now Move and Chachi will all pick apart this tower. Also got the rotation from Veritas.
Yeah, and I really love how Unicorns of Love are using the fact that they have like the push priority in a lot of these lanes to then kind of siphon over the advantage. They don't keep knocking on the same door, you know. When you want push in mid, guess what? We get to move into enemy jungler. Top lane is slow pushing, they're going to duel, surprise, you know, arrive there with your different laners or your jungler. Right now, more pressure in the mid lane. Giants continuously on the back foot.
It does seem that way because they are the ones responding to the plays from the Unicorns, exactly what we saw in game one, where it was Unicorns typically the ones setting up. And if you just look at the vision on the map right now, it is just blue wards all over the map. Unicorns realized the play that came out from Giants. They took this opportunity to get some of the deep vision down. It enabled them to get the dive down onto SmittyJ, and they still have these pink wards on the bottom half of the map, so they are very confident in where they can make these plays.
And we see a 3,000 gold lead here now for the Unicorns, and the game is right now kind of being spelled out for them. Like, the next objective is in 50 seconds. It's an Infernal. You can bet your money that Unicorns are at least thinking about taking it. And that's what they're doing right now. Early investment into vision here. Getting some deep wards, which means the Giants want to use their vision denial. They have to use it in their own jungle, which means the river will still be in the Unicorns' control. All they have to do is avoid being poked right before this dragon spawns, potentially base again. But Hylissang still has 2 wards. They have access to Tempered Fate. They have Rek'Sai who can tunnel over. So they're really good face check punish here. Towards Giants.
And notice the spikes as well, because you've already got the Rapid Fire and Trinity Force done for that Corki.
Yeah.
Whereas SONSTAR is still working on his second item. You have the Tier as well, still stacking up for Knight relative to the Spirit Visage and needlessly large rod done for Exile.
And that historically has been one of Corki's strengths. You know, the mid-game power spike centered around taking a lot of early objectives. When was he super strong? In a meta where you wanted a lot of dragons, but now Hylissang's
Oh, Temper Fate lands, but Hylissang, he just drops where he stands. Instant kill for Giants. That's going to set up the dragon for them.
Giants say, who cares about power spikes when we can just catch your support out of position and take an Infernal for ourselves. Massive misplay from Hylissang, gets caught completely unawares, throwing out a Tempered Fate that really he had no means of trying to set up.
Is it Hylissang or is it this team? I mean, why the hell is Move doing Raptors and Wolves when your team sets a Baron vision, Dragon vision, and then is trying to deny it. SmittyJ will get knocked up here.
Doesn't get the SOAS play, unfortunately, and now have to jump to a minion, try and make his way out. We've got Vladimir coming up here as well, but I don't think we're going to see the great escape of SmittyJ. Nope, the auto attacks are landing from Chachi, so he's just going to try and jump on top of him and do what he can to buy some time.
The SOAS got nerfed on like 6:13 or 14.
Yeah.
Addition of the second.
The additional channel time meant that there was no way he was going to get out of that. You also had the Tremor Sense move, saw him move into the bush in the first place, and now we see a 1v1 in the mid, but we got a replay! Veritas ends up going down.
Will we find out whether he got revenge?
Find out next time on
by
European
Exile?
LCS.
He did!
Yes.
Knight got his revenge.
Wait, Knight got his revenge? You mean?
Well, he got revenged upon.
Gotcha. Yeah. Creative use of the English language here from Prepper.
Transitive properties of revenge.
But while all that actually was happening, you did see the pick down onto Veritas, another mispositioning from the Unicorns. Knight, the reason why he ended up falling in that 2 versus 1 collapse was because he didn't have his ultimate after he got the setup play onto Veritas. So
this all goes back to the Dragon play, and what I can't muster... Not a replay. Every time. This is where we find out what happened. You know, it turns out the next episode's right now. Vladimir presses buttons and walks on the enemy mid laner. Guess what? He dies.
Hylissang comes in with an exhaust just to guarantee. I feel like that was really unnecessary, but still.
Proving a point, man.
It's like this exhaust you see right here. Yep. I don't need it. There you go. But I still want to go back to that Dragon. While Hylissang was alone, why was Move doing Raptors and Wolves? Why was Corki running down to a bot lane that was already pushed out? When you have the vision set up, the entire point of it is to defend it. Use the fact that they are face-checking into Fog of War.
I know. It's because earlier on, he nearly died to the Raptors, so we had to come back and claim vengeance upon them. He's like, yo, we have a score to settle, and unfortunately it ended up giving an Infernal Drake over to the other team. So maybe you should hold on to settling those scores until later on when it's not as intense.
Just in life, it's not worth holding grudges.
Yeah, it really is.
Not against inanimate objects.
Because it means someone else suffers. Someone you care about will suffer.
Yeah.
In this case, it was Hylissang, unfortunately. So, yeah, it's going to suck those one up sometimes. But Unicorns of Love do have an advantage in this game still.
I mean, we speak about suffering, but look at SmittyJ. He's 0-3-2 right now. He has completed his second item, which will be the Blade. You do see a bit of a shift between the Ghost Blade and Blade of the Ruined King, depending on preference largely. But the fact that he has actually struggled a lot, and if we just think back to what's happened in the game, Maxlore and SmittyJ have regularly lost in these 2v2s, and SmittyJ has often been the target of a lot of Move's focus.
The biggest problem was the 2v2 he lost when his bot lane was approaching. That was an unnecessary moment of aggression, and that actually was the whole swing moment in the entire game here, and could be honestly a swing moment in the series. Because Unicorns, they found themselves like almost like 1.5k down earlier. They're still sitting at a comfortable 3,000 gold lead, despite making a major blunder just now, and they're finally grouping again, looking for another Tempered Fate pickoff here.
He was trying to land it onto Chachi. Both came to the realization at the same time, but now Chachi trying to back away. Lands the ultimate. Tempered Fate's going to put a timeout on this situation. Exile dropping low, but he's right back to full health with his combo, and Giants need to push him back.
Tahm Kench chased though, but the ulti got cancelled. This may be a Baron rush here. The Veritas is still positioned to poke.
Notice that Chachi has his teleport as well, so even if he does go back, he can just quickly return to the fight. Move though, sitting in a bit of a precarious position. No vision from Giants.
Wow. This is like, oh, the sweep spots him.
Found him. And he'll flash up the wall with the TP coming out as well. But the flash and the jump after Cassiopeia. The Devour was still available, so he's going to drag him to safety for now. But Unicorns of Love still looking for blood, and they'll instantly take down Hustlin. Had no chance to get away. Exile going to jump in tonight, and Chachi is on a rampage, but that's quickly shut down by Maxlore.
But look at SmittyJ, he still isn't even in the fight. He's trying to make his way up, but Hylissang doing a great job of zoning. And Maxlore goes down to the side of Veritas.
Flashes away from a heat-seeking missile that connects anyways. 3 drop for Giants, 1 drops for the Unicorns. And that's an instant Baron star here. Jungler's dead. SmittyJ and Sivir are alive, but they're so far away.
Unicorns of Love just basically going to take this. I mean, there's nothing that either of those members can do. SmittyJ is kind of getting around this area.
It's a reset.
Yeah, he sees it. It's in the shape of a Corki. He got the first kill, but unfortunately didn't get the reset on that one. Transcendent Blades will put a bit of damage down. Jump over the wall. It will be secured out by Move. But Unicorns of Love set to take some casualties here. SONSTAR and SmittyJ round over them. X-Star with the double.
Really good play from Unicorns of Love to get themselves the Baron and not have it stolen away. Obviously, there was no smite there, but still being able to secure that. And we just need to backtrack to how that all played out. The teleport, we mentioned it from Vizicsacsi. He came in from the flank. Hustlin tried to keep his mid laner alive, but he had to give his life away off the back of it. And Unicorns, they wanted to keep going with the dart.
Yeah, it's just at one point, could they have disengaged? There was a small sidestep from Knight that maybe he could have went out of. But here again, I feel like Maxlore is critically over-chasing in this series. Look at it. This is Corki's spike in the mid-game still, especially against these more squishy Elise builds. Back in the day, Elise was hyper-tanky, and then you could kind of skirmish with this Corki. But as we go forward, this exhaust is really good from Hylissang. Sadly, doesn't keep his AD carry alive. Big question, Corki positioning too. Right here, I love what Hylissang's doing. This is called the cheerleader. You portal out, realize you should have never portaled out, and then you just cheer on your mid laner. And apparently
you can do it, guys! I believe!
Yeah, you're Vladimir. You have sustained DPS and sustain.
Yeah.
1v2 then, boys.
To be fair,
Exileh.
that pool at the very end to buy time for his ultimate resulted in him actually getting the sustain to win out on that trade. So, fair play to Exileh.
Like Exileh bodied them. He was like, all right, I got it.
Body them fools.
Unicorns love now pushing the mid lane with this new fresh Baron buff on them. SONSTAR trying to poke from the sidelines, but it's instantly receiving those Veritas rockets.
Yeah, whenever Hylissang walks up, Knight has to walk backwards. Because if you aim Tempered Fate at tower plus champion, it's always a win. Because you can choose to commit or not. And worst case, the tower is just invulnerable anyways. So you don't really get punished for the play.
Unicorns take their very easy inner tower, and now at 28 minutes have a pretty good lead themselves. I mean, the start of this game was definitely a bit more even than we've seen in the series so far. The other games were much more one-sided, but now Unicorns edging ahead now with this Baron in the last sequence of plays, so in a pretty good position. Plus Exileh is massive, so that helps too.
This is not a good position for Maxlore right now.
Now he's being chased down by Exileh. Here comes the Tides of Blood. SONSTAR's also under attack, but Hustlin, the hero that Maxlore needs, will get him to safety.
To be honest, Giants really struggling to know what to do against Unicorns right now because Corki, with the completed Infinity Edge, 29 minutes, so much stronger than SONSTAR is right now. When you pair that up with a Vladimir who's completed that third item proto bout, on top of a Baron as well, Giants have no real way to turn these fights around unless Unicorns overcommit underneath the turret.
Yeah, Exileh with Ghost Flash, Proto Belt, and Realize is almost impossible to deal with because he's so sticky. Like, he'll get to you, slow you down with the Rylai's Crystal Scepter, and then he has Moon Turret of his own. He can dash in Gap Rolls with the Proto Belt, and on top of that, he just does so much damage.
Top lane being sieged in. Lots of damage coming out here from the Unicorns of Love, just even in this poke damage on the tower. Giants may be looking for a way into this fight. They land the CC onto Move and Chachi, but they tank up all of this damage. Giants unable to get in here right now, but they may have disrupted the push for at least one wave.
Nah, wait for the next wave. I think Unicorns actually have a moment to commit, but they're looking for rotation here. I'm so surprised there's no Tempered Fate and just hard engage coming out of here. Unicorns seemingly hesitant, but now the wave connects, and here we go.
Now Chachi's looking for a way to get involved. SmittyJ jumps on top of Exileh. He goes down into the pool. Knight trying to zone away here, but the tower is dead. With, the ultimate, I mean, what?
Swing and a miss from Hylissang. Throws it out, unfortunately not able to connect onto anyone. But Unicorns can still be happy with the turret that they picked up for themselves. They realize that there is a big minion wave in the bottom half of the map that someone has to go and deal with. So better to just take advantage of what they can. Let's not overcommit, and we'll just be happy with what we get.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm in the Bard Olympics. I have like one of these little signs, you know, raised like, nah, that was a 4.
A 4? Generous.
That was a zoning ulti, you know? There were some zoning aspects in that ulti that were...
multiple factors that come into the score, Veritas.
Yeah. Just because it misses doesn't mean it's preventing people from walking forward.
Exactly. I mean, all that target practice earlier as well. Apparently not really getting him the high points on the Crepo score of approval here.
No, that's the one thing a long playing career near relegation gets you. It's like you get very creative in your excuses.
And then you can apply that to other people, and there you go. Fantastic. Hylissang now waiting in the brushes, looking for another target to hit. See if he can redeem himself.
Multitasking here.
Best of 3.
Two camps at once, you know. That's like if you're a jungler and you're watching a mid laner do that to your jungle. Like, not only is he taking your camps, he's taking them 2 at a time.
It's like, cool, man. Nice to know that sharing is caring.
Yeah. Can I get a minion, please?
Yeah. Well, it pays to be efficient. You know, it's time saving.
It's like, yeah, Exile's looking at Move being like, yo, you got a TM out. What more do you need? I mean,
You're done, right?
Well, here comes the rest of Giants. Chachi will push them all away, but he's being gradually slowed down. On the Hunt's going to be used to try and get the chase after. Slow in from SmittyJ. Will it be enough? He's got the Guardian Angel. Maxwell coming in here as well. Down into the GA.
He just has to buy some time though here, because if he can just cancel a little bit of Exile coming in, there's a bottom lane push going out now. Exile is almost too desperate for buying time here, but he cancelled all the backs.
He got all his health back as well from the Hemo Plague. That means Move and Veritas able to siege down this bottom tower, and Knight, he can't even get close.
He's trying to hold the 2 versus 1, but he's already been forced to use his flash. SmittyJ now coming in with the teleport, but in the top half, there's still more action.
Exile was trying to disrupt some of that, but there's the Tempered Fate landing onto one. Exile still dancing around. Hylissang is able to support him, and Giants, what can they do? Hustlin dropping low himself. He did manage to gobble up Maxlore. There's the kill coming out, and Maxlore jumping onto Exile as well. Down into the Sanguine Pool, and the Tides of Blood kill.
Exile has been on fire with his sidestep in this game, and now Move and Veritas find Knight in the mid lane too. However, it costs Veritas his life. SmittyJ dueling move here. I was surprised that Hylissang didn't go for Temper Fate on the TP cancel, but they still won the remaining 3v2 skirmish with some beautiful sidesteps from Exile. He is really showing up the series.
SmittyJ turning around onto Move. Exile coming in here as well. Tides of Blood. Hustlin will get him to safety for now, but the Q landing. Hylissang with the unseen flank. SmittyJ will have to back away now.
Crouching Tiger, hidden Bard, the strongest of them all, and if this tower falls, there's a potential 3 open inhibs for the taking, but they need time to take them down, and the Giants are spawning.
Bear in mind that those death timers are still relatively long. 14 seconds on Knight, 30 on Hustlin, but with SONSTAR coming up, it's unlikely that Unicorns are going to be able to close things out, but they should be able to take a hefty taking from the Giants' base.
Doing a lot of damage, almost critical damage, but they aren't able to finish off this inhibitor. Chachi now being jumped on, will be blocking out that one with the spell shield. Chachi taking the portal to victory. Man, he zoomed through that one.
That's if you max portal second, you get 50% extra speed compared to your opponents. That's why the Emax second is so vital on Bard, because it gives you time to arrive, you know, get used to your new destination.
Right.
Look around and smash him in the face. This is Vizicsacsi knowing he's caught, but you buy time. Immediate pings come out on the bottom side of the map. Move and Veritas are setting up the siege 2v1 against Knight. Then Exile comes here, and it's honestly a race for buying time and canceling backs here. Exile 4v1, guess what? Pull out, and then the hesitation sidesteps one spell. Another, obviously it's a heat-seeking spider. Another spell sidesteps here. This is the, I guess Hylissang doesn't see the teleport going on, but the second they realize he's out, Tempered Fate comes out. Spell sheet gets used on SONSTAR, which means Exile's QE combo gets maximum value. And this guy is just so comfortable weaving in and out of the fights.
And watch Hylissang, you're going to see the binding, or not, because the Baron is being set up.
And it's going to be taken out by the Unicorns of Love. It's Chachi to secure it. Now the fight ensues just behind the pin. It's going to be Knight the first one to drop, and this is not going well for Giants. Double kill coming out for Veritas, but now it's being turned around. Moving Vizicsacsi will be backing away before turning it around once again. SmittyJ on top of his opposing mid laner for the kill. Exile looking for the cleanup. Move still very healthy. SmittyJ on Exile, unable to finish him off. Exile is godlike with that kill. SONSTAR trying to get away. Move will not be able to get on top of him. 4-4-3 trade Unicorns.
Yeah, Giants almost had a turnaround in that fight because Unicorns were getting greedy. They thought they were playing 2 members only, but then they saw the Babushka doll properties of Tahm Kench. They spit out a random Irelia. Suddenly it was 3v3 and they turned it all around. But then Exile is just so goddamn fed this game, and he is single-handedly influencing the ends of these fights.
Vladimir, ladies and gentlemen, in these late game team fights just does so much work, especially when you play around that Crimson Rush. The sustain that you get is insurmountable, and to be honest, there's nothing that Giants can do about it. We said it before, and we'll say it again because he is just so difficult to deal with. And to be fair, that was a really good Tempered Fate coming out from Hylissang to actually buy enough time to guarantee the Baron for Unicorns. That was a pretty good ultimate from Knight as well, but when you're forced into this little choke point, the Corki is just able to get so much free damage off. And the reason why things initially looked pretty promising for Giants is that Exile hadn't actually yet joined the fight. He was still in the Baron pit, but the moment he comes in, things just swing in the favor.
And it's honestly a mistake from SONSTAR. I think he could have finished off Exile and then at least maybe dropped to move here, but he's so scared of this Rek'Sai kind of lurking around. Now packages available for Veritas here.
Still saving it for now. Did get a play earlier in the game, but has had to sacrifice a lot of them to the minion wave gods.
Yeah. The good old equalizer wave clear. We saw a lot of interaction with Miasma and Magical Journey there too. Hylissang was
Yeah, you can't click it on your Miasma.
But most...
But the door is open. Why can't I go?
It's like, I've done this a million times. How do I'm literally at one trick. How am I failing this? And then I figure out it's Cassiopeia poison.
Giants trying to mount a defense here. The inhib is still very low, and in fact the minions are just probably going to finish it off. Got this long-range cannon minion.
Hey, and Ashe did 6,000
One
damage.
more.
These are basically, if you wonder how Ashe can do 6,000 damage in this game, it's because all those arrows that fly off the map somewhere, they get into a different dimension, and in a different Summoner's Rift, like they actually land when you least expect it.
I mean, it's just like space, right? Like he carries on traveling. Eventually, it's going to hit something.
Yep.
Well, right now, Giants are hoping for an alternate dimension to kick in because Unicorns are looking to try and close out this game.
Yeah, not happening on this world line, Veritas.
It's the darkest timeline for Giants going down. Unicorn setting up the siege, honestly, they're looking to finish out clean. 3 inhibs down, like look at all the super creeps. 2 in each wave, conga lining inwards. So hard for Giants.
And Giants now been pushed in. We've got the towers dropping very low. Exileh being jumped on by Smitty, trying to do what he can. Hustlin on the front lines, and here comes the Temper Fate onto the tower. But, I mean, Unicorns of Love don't really want to follow up, and at the very least, they should be able to take this tower down, but eventually the minions will dissipate.
Sivir wave clear is buying them a bit more time, especially with the damage that SmittyJ was able to get down onto Exileh, is forcing Unicorns to play a little bit defensively. Flashbacks of Unicorns versus Vitality are flushing into their heads right now as the first Nexus turret goes down.
But there's so many minions flooding into this base now, gentlemen. I'm not sure how long Giants can survive. And now the Elder's up. Unicorns of Love going to go towards that objective. Hylissang taking the fast route over there.
I feel like Unicorns could have forced that a little bit harder.
Yeah.
They did have the Mega Gnar. The Flash was available to Hylissang. There were many options with that Tempered Fate.
I totally agree, man. If you just backline Tempered Fate, the one healthy tower plus like 1 or 2 members, and you just focus the other tower down, you win that fight so hard. But, however, I understand the need for caution, because it's so easy to play from your chair, because you always need to account for human error. And in these conservative ways to close out the game, you just try to minimize the risk of human error because you have such a large goal lead. You have 3 inhibs down. However, if you make one mistake at the end of that, then the lower you make the risk, the more time it takes for you to get to that final play. But then the payout for the enemy is the largest, because if you fail after 10 minutes of stalling, suddenly they're back entirely in the game.
Hylissang just having flashbacks of the Vitality game. It was like, triggered. And I was like, actually, guys, we should back away.
They're telling Veritas, unbind Valkyrie.
Yeah.
In that game, he actually arcane shifted in with QSS and then missed QSS too. So they're just telling him, no W's. No.
Must avoid button.
Yeah.
But double GA now completed for the Unicorns as well. Gonna make that front line even harder to kill. And if Giants didn't already have enough problems, Unicorns have returned to give them 99 more.
That's not how that reference goes.
Exactly how that song goes.
Unicorns of Love.
You're also the worst person to be making rap references, Veritas.
Oh, Exileh dropping low into the pool. He's going to be surviving. I just can't even English anymore, man. Giants find their way into the Unicorns line. There's a good Tempered Fate onto 3. Maybe able to get a good engagement. 4-man Gnar ultimate. Getting into this fight. SmittyJ coming onto the back lines, but no one's dropped just yet from the Unicorns. Goodbye, Knight. Goodbye, SmittyJ. And this is the Unicorns game now to finish off. Double kill out for Chachi. Veritas coming in there with the Corki as well. Goodbye, Hustlin. Say goodbye to your Game 3 dreams. SONSTAR, nowhere to go.
Wham, bam, slam. Thank you, man. Vizicsacsi comes in, bangs him into the wall. Nexus tower goes down, and this is game 2 win here for the Unicorns. They are 1 game away from taking the series.
Well played by the Unicorns of Love, taking it to match point against Giants here. And 2-1 in this series. So looks like at least our predictions are on point here.
Yeah. But it's close. And at the end, that last Gnar ulti, it's like everybody saw it coming. There's like a collective like grasp of air. Everybody's like, nope. I don't want to be at the end of this Gnar ulti, but then Vizicsacsi flashes in, puts 4 of them into the wall. Yeah. Beautiful combo, and at that point, dreams died for Giants.
I mean, if you can't get the timing on the Cosmic Binding, have someone else use the CC and just time it with themselves.
And the bright side is Veritas held on to his W. He didn't go in too aggressively, but the initial follow-up after that play from Vizicsacsi was absolutely spectacular. What a great way to win the game. It did take them a little while, a trend that we still see from Unicorns, where they do struggle to close things out. Not quite as decisive as we saw from Giants in game 2, but definitely an impressive game 3 to now give Unicorns of Love that edge in the series.
I'm just enjoying this series because like both Giants and Unicorns of Love, to my knowledge, have at the different points in playoffs lost 0-3 to H2K, got like smashed in quarterfinals. But they're actually delivering a quite enjoyable series. Yes, it's not always perfect, but we're moving back to a meta that is 2v2 only, and certain play patterns you just have to like get used to again. But I'm really hoping for honestly a 5-game series because I want to see how these big bands evolve. You know, is Hylissang's Bard going to be taken off? Probably not. And like, there's just so much to watch.
Well, we'll see if that is the case. But Unicorns of Love are now 2-1 over Giants. So let's check in with Stress to talk about how we bloody well got here.
Well, from one Brit to another, thank you so much, Pulse. I really appreciate the wording on that. We want to break down one play here from this game that severely slowed down the Giants in the early game. And the reason we're picking this play is because this is the type of play we're expecting to see very commonly here in playoffs for 6-15. If you haven't been catching some of the other regions that are already on this patch, we have started to see teams start to do this. So what I'm going to do, first of all, is set up the replay. And by doing that, we're going to take a larger look at the minimap, because that's where we're going to start this playoff. I need to move my tools a little bit further away because where I want to start is over here in the base. You can see Tahm Kench has already recalled and they've come back away from the bottom lane. This is the first phase of this play. Is as soon as the AD carry and support are recalling, the idea here is you actually push in to the top side of the map and you look to try and go in here and look to try and push down the first tower. Of course, this is after the fortification buff has dropped and you're able to get the push onto the tower, get that first tower blood for yourself. So when we go back to our normal view and take a look at exactly how this plays out, it's slowed down by the fact that the Unicorns seem to be already reacting to this. You can see Maxlore is looking to set up a play in the top side, but so is Move. Move is around in the top side of the map because he knows this type of play is about to happen. As we roll the clip on, the whole purpose of this is Tahm Kench and Sivir, when they get to about here in the lane, they're going to look to Abyssal Voyage forward. So what Move does is he puts the pressure onto the lane. They know already this is meant to be a good matchup for SmittyJ, but all of this action in the top side is slowing down the Giants. And as soon as this play is all completed, it's already impossible. At this point, a little bit of a mistake by the Unicorns because they're pushing into the tower. What they need to do is just buy time for this guy down here, Veritas, to come up into the lane, and he can actually defend this. So Chachi doesn't need to die in this scenario at all. No point on doing that. Already the Giants cannot shove that lane in. And what this ends up resulting in is Veritas arrives in the lane, gets himself a kill, recalls, goes back to the bottom lane, and they end up getting the tower first blood for the Unicorns anyway. It's just an influential play that slowed down the Giants. We're going to continue to see teams try and 2 or 3 or 4 person dive in the top side after that first recall. And honestly, it allowed the Unicorns to at least have a good platform to get further and further through the game. It didn't win them the game on its own. There were further subsequent fights that allowed Exileh to get further and further ahead. But that was the style of play we're going to see here on 6-15 very, very commonly. It's time for us to take a quick break, though. When we come back, we're going to have match point between the Unicorns of Love and Giants.